watching Capital Connection from the Illinois State Capitol.
Welcome back. We're now going to talk a little bit about nuclear energy, and joining us today to do that, it's Mark Denzler with the Illinois Manufacturers Association. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Cole. Thanks for having me.
So last year, we saw for the first time in 50 years, the moratorium on nuclear energy was slightly lifted, allowed for smaller nuclear reactors to be built. Now there's a bill in the Capitol to totally take that moratorium out, allow for any size nuclear reactor to be built here in the state. Tell me a little bit about what that, why that's necessary right now.
Well, thank you, Cole. The IMA initiated the legislation this year to eliminate the ban on new nuclear construction in Illinois. As you noted, last year we successfully, actually 2023, we successfully allowed small micronuclear reactors of less than 300 megawatts. But today there is huge energy demand. There's huge growth because of enhanced manufacturing and quantum and data centers and artificial intelligence. And the states that are going to win the economic development battle are the states that have energy and workforce. And so we need additional generation in the state led by nuclear power and natural gas. And we also need more transmission lines and battery storage.
This has been a consistent topic we've been covering this session, just the need for energy creation right now, whether it be through wind and solar, whether it be through places like nuclear. And I'm just curious why where the current structure of climate and equitable jobs, the current and where you see coal plants being decommissioned, you have wind and solar being put up but not quite attached to the grid as they need to be. Why is nuclear the way to go with this?
Well, first of all, right now in Illinois, we're very blessed. We have the largest nuclear fleet in the country. We have 6 nuclear plants. We have 11 operating facilities within those. Nationally, there are 94 nuclear operators. And so it's about 40% of Illinois' baseload generation is nuclear, followed by natural gas. Those energy sources, they operate 24/7. Nuclear is carbon-free. They create great jobs across the state. And again, we have to have an energy portfolio that's going to support manufacturing and quantum and data centers. And these are great opportunities. As I said, Illinois already has 6 nuclear plants operating in Illinois. We have the wires, we have the infrastructure, but if we want to grow as a state and grow as a nation, we have to invest in energy, including nuclear. And you're seeing that nationally, Cole. The United States for years has led on nuclear, but all the nuclear construction recently has been in China and Russia. And so we need to get back in the game.
So when you say that who's going to win the nuclear battle, or not the nuclear battle, I'm sorry, we're not talking about an arms race here. The economic development battle, nuclear is going to be a key part of that. Where is Illinois stacking up currently with other states as far as still having this moratorium in place?
Well, right now there's only 12 states that have a ban, a complete ban or partial ban. Illinois is one of those. As you noted, we have the small micronuclear now, but we need to eliminate this. First, it's going to create great jobs. If we create 2,000 megawatts of energy in the next 10 years, for example, that's 20,000 construction jobs, 1,000 permanent jobs, $1 billion in GDP, $100 million in annual tax revenue. Nuclear is carbon-free energy, so it helps the state meet its carbon goals. And finally, we've seen the president in the administration in Washington support nuclear. There's going to be incentives. If we get rid of this ban, these operators who may want to build or expand in Illinois have the opportunity to access those federal credits.
When it came to lifting the ban just for the smaller nuclear reactors, a lot of that focus was put on this very, very forward-thinking technology, these micronuclear reactors that could be put in the back of a truck, could be moved around and set up for maybe a specific manufacturing facility. But a lot of that is down the road. A lot of that was clearing out red tape so that kind of research can continue unabated. If this ban were to be completely lifted, how quick are we talking about breaking ground on something like this? What position are providers in for that?
Well, first I would say we already have a couple projects that are micronuclear that are looking at Illinois that we're involved with today. So I think that will come here in the next couple years. But if we lift this ban, I could say potentially 2 or 3 new nuclear facilities operating in Illinois in the next 10 years. There's still a federal process under the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission that they would have to go through. And keep in mind that nuclear energy is safe, it's a proven technology, it operates 24/7. And we're seeing a number of states, Wisconsin to our north and Colorado and others, Maryland, that are all incenting new nuclear production. We saw Southern Company in Georgia build the first 2 nuclear facilities in the last several decades. Michigan has just announced one. So again, if Illinois wants to win this economic battle, when we talk to manufacturers and companies, it is energy and workforce. We have a great workforce. We need to make sure that our energy generation meet the demands that our companies are calling for.
And right now, it's not. It's not meeting that demand.
Well, it's a struggle. We've really seen with policies, with closure of baseload generation, mirrored at the same time, we're seeing increased energy needs. We're starting to have to import energy from other states, and we don't want to do that. We want to continue to be a net exporter of energy if we want to be successful. And Cole, just globally, an interesting statistic is that we're putting a user the size of Japan on the global energy market every year. That is how much new energy it's taking. And again, if we want to invest in quantum and artificial intelligence and data centers and really the technology of the future, we have to have the energy that can allow those facilities to be powered.
Would nuclear be subject to the same problems that we have been seeing with new solar and wind generation? Not the fact that it's those actual styles are not producing the energy, but rather it's just not connected to the overall multi-state grid, or is nuclear in a different boat than that?
It's really in a different boat because we have 6 current nuclear facilities and they have 11 operating units. The wires are already there. And so, for example, if the current operators simply build at a current location, you already have the infrastructure, you already have the grid in place. That is already there. And again, with some of your renewable energy that the wind doesn't always blow and the sun doesn't always shine, nuclear energy and natural gas are the 2 benchmarks of our economy in terms of energy, and we need to make sure that both of those are available for years to come.
So you're saying this wouldn't just be completely new construction at new sites, this could also allow for expansion at current facilities?
It could be either. We're going to open it up, and so whether Constellation, the current operator, wants to make that decision, or whether you have a Southern Company, for example, that's invested in Georgia, someone from the outside come in. But again, let's just take this moratorium off and let the marketplace work. And I think part of the financing, the cost isn't going to be borne by the ratepayers. For these to be successful around the country, they're going to have to sign long-term contracts or power purchase agreements with large users to make them financially viable. And again, let us take this moratorium off, allow Illinois to be competitive, and then companies can make the decisions about where they want to locate. But given the fact that we lead the nation in nuclear energy, we're an ideal location for this to happen.
What's the current climate like for this here in this building, getting lawmakers on board for this?
Well, I'm very optimistic. It passed the House committee 20-0 unanimously. We appreciate the leadership of Representative Dave Vella and Jeff Kiker, bipartisan in the House, Senator Pat Joyce and Sue Rezin in the Senate. It has bipartisan leadership. The IMA has talked with the governor, we've talked with the speaker and the Senate president and the Republican leaders. And again, we're moving in that direction. There's a lot of energy issues out there, as you know, but we're hopeful that nuclear moratorium will end this session.
Was it just the fact that there was still that stigma around nuclear at the time, or that this increase in generation or the increase in use wasn't there at the time that the Climate and Equitable Jobs Act was passed, that this wasn't included in this? Because you said carbon, it's a carbon-free mode of energy production, but it's also, it does have its own waste in it, and it didn't have environmentalists on board with the idea of a full lifting of the moratorium at the time. What's getting everybody on board this time? Is it just the drastic need?
Well, I think the need, number one, everyone sees the increased energy usage. And again, if Illinois wants to attract new manufacturing companies in quantum and data centers, we have to have that energy. It is carbon free. And so as you recall, the state did incent nuclear plants a number of years ago to make sure they continue operating, because that helps meet the state with its climate goals. But right now, again, you need the power, but 2, it is a safe and proven technology. We're even seeing Japan, for example, that had a nuclear incident 20 years ago, going back to nuclear. We're seeing Germany do it. We're seeing China do it. So all these other countries across the world are also moving in that direction because it is a safe, proven, reliable technology that is carbon free.
I'm curious, and now I want to look forward, because you talked about there's some projects with micronuclear reactors that are going to be coming down the road here. What does the future situation look like with that? Are we talking about individual power generation for manufacturing sites or large manufacturing parks for that matter? Or I guess, would allowing for large-scale nuclear reactors cannibalize the need for the smaller ones in any way?
No, I don't think so. The micronuclear reactors, I mean, think about it. We've had nuclear submarines running for decades, right? And so you think of the same concept, but you might have a town that wants to build their own, have their own micronuclear. You might have a facility, a large manufacturer, maybe a data center or a certain area, but they go hand in hand, right? We need an all-the-above approach. So that includes nuclear and natural gas, renewables, and clean coal, along with the transmission line. So again, if we're going to win this war on the economy, and we want to be the lead state for development, we have to have energy, we have to have jobs. We have a lot of other great things, right? We have a workforce, and we have access to water and infrastructure and rail and a global city. But really, what we hear from companies today, it is energy and it is workforce, and Illinois needs to lead on energy.
Well, Mark Denzler with the Illinois Manufacturers Association, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Cole.
We'll be right back.